February 9, 2004. A date that would become etched into the memory of a small New Hampshire town and into the annals of American true crime. The air was bitterly cold, the kind of night where the snow muffles every sound and the darkness seems to press in from the woods on either side of the road. On this frigid night, the New Hampshire woods were silent, save for the occasional crunch of ice beneath passing tires and the distant howl of wind weaving through the trees. The landscape was blanketed in white, the moon casting long shadows across the snowdrifts. Along Route 112, a narrow, winding road that cuts through the wilderness, a black Saturn sedan suddenly veered off the pavement and crashed into a snowbank. Behind the wheel was Maura Murray, a 21-year-old nursing student with a promising future and a complicated past. Within minutes, a local bus driver named Butch Atwood came upon the scene. He saw the car, its front end crumpled, and a young woman standing nearby, shivering in the cold. He stopped his bus and approached, offering help and warmth. Maura, however, politely declined his offer. She insisted she had already called for roadside assistance, even though cell service in this remote area was almost non-existent. Her calm demeanor struck the bus driver as odd, but he respected her wishes. Concerned for her safety, the bus driver drove home and called the police himself, reporting the accident and the young woman alone on the roadside. He hoped help would arrive quickly before the cold could do any harm. But when authorities arrived just minutes later, Maura was gone. The car sat abandoned, its hazard lights blinking in the darkness, but there was no sign of the driver. She had vanished without a trace. The snow around the car was undisturbed, no footprints leading away, no evidence of a struggle. The car was locked, as if she had simply evaporated into the night. Inside the vehicle, police found her belongings: textbooks, clothes, toiletries, and a packed bag, as if she had been planning a trip. But her wallet and cell phone were missing, raising more questions than answers. The search that followed was one of the largest in New Hampshire history. Police, volunteers, search dogs, and helicopters combed the woods and fields for days, braving the bitter cold and deep snow. Yet, not a single clue was found. No footprints, no discarded items, no sign of Maura. Maura Murray was not just any student. She was a former West Point cadet, known for her intelligence and determination. But in the days leading up to her disappearance, she had been acting strangely. Her friends and family noticed she seemed distracted, anxious, and secretive. She had lied to her professors, claiming a family emergency, and packed up her dorm room. She withdrew cash from her bank account, emailed her professors about her absence, and set off on a journey no one fully understood. Was she running from something or toward something? Some believe she wandered into the wilderness, overwhelmed by personal troubles. Others suspect foul play, or that she staged her own disappearance to start a new life. Theories abound, but evidence is scarce. For her family, the pain of not knowing has never faded. They have searched tirelessly year after year, posting flyers, organizing searches, and keeping Maura's story alive in hopes that one day, the truth will emerge. The woods of New Hampshire, silent and unyielding, have kept their secrets well. The snow that fell that night covered any trace, and the passage of time has only deepened the mystery. All that remains is the haunting image of a young woman, lost on a cold winter's night, her fate unknown. Her story lingers like a ghost along Route 112, a chilling reminder of how quickly a life can vanish. The questions left behind echo through the years, whispered by the wind that sweeps across the empty road. What happened to Maura Murray? Where did she go? And why has no trace of her ever been found? The mystery begins here, on Route 112, a lonely stretch of road where the answers remain frozen in time, waiting to be uncovered. To truly understand the mystery of Maura's disappearance, we need to rewind the clock and look closely at the days leading up to that fateful night. The story doesn't begin with her vanishing. It starts with a series of subtle, unsettling moments that built up quietly, almost like whispers in the background of her life. The week before she vanished was anything but ordinary. Friends and classmates noticed Maura seemed distracted, her usual spark dimmed. She walked the campus halls late at night, often alone, her mind clearly elsewhere. In her dorm room she grew more withdrawn, barely speaking to her roommate, her phone lighting up with messages she rarely answered. 2 nights before she disappeared, Maura was found in a near catatonic state at her campus security job. She had just finished a phone call with her sister, and something about that conversation seemed to shake her deeply. Her supervisor described her as pale and unresponsive, staring blankly at her desk under the harsh fluorescent lights. The following night, things took another turn. After attending a small party, Maura borrowed her father's new car. On a quiet street, she lost control and crashed. The scene was eerily silent except for the distant wail of police sirens and the crunch of glass underfoot. Her father tried to comfort her, telling her everything would be all right. But the accident seemed to weigh on Maura, adding to the invisible burden she was already carrying. She barely slept that night, replaying the crash over and over in her mind. On the day she vanished, Maura moved with quiet determination. She packed a small suitcase in her dimly lit dorm room, carefully folding her clothes, tucking in her favorite stuffed animal, and stacking her textbooks on the bed. She included toiletries and other essentials, as if preparing for a trip she hadn't told anyone about. She withdrew nearly all the money she had, $280, from an ATM, her hands trembling slightly as she counted the bills. She then stopped at a liquor store, buying several bottles of alcohol and placing them in a brown paper bag. It was a strange shopping list for someone planning a getaway. Maura spent time searching for directions on her laptop, looking up routes to the Berkshires and Burlington, places that held family memories and echoes of happier times. She traced the roads with her finger on a paper map, as if searching for a destination, or maybe just an escape. She even called about renting a condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire, a quiet spot nestled in the mountains, but she never booked it. Was she looking for a place to hide or just testing the waters of a new life? That afternoon, Maura loaded her battered Saturn with her belongings and drove north, her car cutting through the snowy landscape. The highway stretched out before her, empty and cold as she left everything familiar behind. But why bring textbooks if she truly meant to run away? Was she planning to return, or was she clinging to the hope of a normal future, even as she slipped away from it? Was Maura escaping from something, or simply lost, caught between the urge to disappear and the hope of being found? The crossroads she faced were both literal and symbolic, her intentions as foggy as the road she traveled. Every action she took seemed deliberate, yet her true intentions remain a mystery. She wrote lists, packed with care, and moved with purpose. But no one knows what she was really planning. By nightfall, Maura was gone, leaving behind only questions and a trail of whispers that still echo through the years. Back at the crash site, Maura's Saturn sat locked and silent. The accident was minor, airbags deployed, but Maura seemed unhurt when the bus driver spoke to her. Inside open alcohol, her backpack, but no wallet, keys, or phone. The car was locked when police arrived. The strangest clue, a rag stuffed in the tailpipe, possibly a running glove. Her father said it was an old trick to stop a car from smoking, but experts doubt its effectiveness. Was it a signal, a desperate act, or something else? Like everything in this case, the rag only deepened the mystery. In 2004, digital footprints were scarce. The world was on the cusp of a technological revolution, but most people still relied on landlines, basic cell phones, and dial-up internet. Social media was in its infancy, and the idea of tracking someone's every move through their devices was still years away. For investigators, this meant that when someone vanished, the digital clues we take for granted today were often non-existent or frustratingly limited. Maura's cell phone last pinged near her dorm. After she left, it went silent. There were no further calls, no texts, and no signs that her phone was ever turned on again. It was as if she had simply stepped off the grid, leaving behind only a faint electronic echo. Her final ATM withdrawal was the last activity on her accounts. She took out a modest sum of money, enough for a short trip, but not enough to suggest she was planning a new life or a long-term disappearance. No credit card use, no emails, no online presence since. Her bank account sat untouched, her email inbox remained empty, and there were no purchases, reservations, or digital breadcrumbs to follow. The lack of financial or digital activity argues against her running away to start over. People who disappear intentionally often leave a trail, new accounts, travel bookings, or at least a few messages to loved ones. In Maura's case, there was only silence. Online sleuths have dissected every detail, but the internet has produced more speculation than answers. Forums and message boards are filled with theories, timelines, and maps, but the digital void left by Maura's disappearance has only fueled more questions. In a connected world, Maura slipped through the cracks. Today, it's almost impossible to vanish without leaving some trace online. But in 2004, the gaps in technology made it all too easy for someone to disappear without a trace. The silence from her phone and accounts is deafening. Each unanswered call, each unspent dollar, each unopened email is a reminder of how quickly a person can vanish when the digital world offers no clues. Technology failed to provide answers. Investigators and family members were left to search the physical world, retracing steps and hoping for a breakthrough that never came. Whatever happened, it left no digital trace. The mystery deepened with every passing day, as the absence of evidence became its own haunting clue. The trail went cold almost instantly, leaving behind only questions, and a silence that technology could not break. One theory suggests Maura wasn't alone, she had help. The tandem driver theory, a second car, a planned escape. If she crashed unexpectedly, her accomplice could have picked her up, explaining her quick disappearance and lack of footprints. But no one in her life fits the role, and there's no evidence of a second driver. Some believe she started a new life, but could she really stay hidden for decades? The theory is logical, but lacks proof. It's a romantic idea, vanishing with help, but deeply improbable. The tandem driver remains a shadow in the story. Maura's life was under strain. She'd left West Point after a minor theft, then excelled at UMass Amherst. Months before vanishing, she was caught using a stolen credit card, charges pending. The recent car accident added to her stress. Was she afraid of legal trouble? Was it all too much? Her relationship with her boyfriend was strained, and a late-night call with her sister hinted at more turmoil. Academic, legal, and personal pressures mounted. Was her drive north an escape, or something more permanent? The cracks in her perfect image may hold the key. The search for Maura began immediately, but the White Mountains in winter are brutal. Police, volunteers, dogs, and helicopters found nothing. The scent trail vanished near the car. Her father, Fred, has led countless searches, refusing to give up. Online communities have kept the case alive, generating leads and theories. Public interest has helped and hurt, fueling hope, but also wild speculation and harassment. The search has moved from snowy woods to the digital world. Maura's story is now a collective obsession. Despite years of searching, no trace has been found. The mountains and the internet hold their secrets. 21 years have passed. For Maura's family, it's been a cycle of hope and heartbreak. The case has become modern folklore, spawning podcasts, documentaries, and endless theories. Why does it captivate us? The strange clues, the relatability of Maura, the lack of answers. Promising leads have fizzled, like the search of a nearby basement that turned up nothing. The central questions remain: did she run away, succumb to the elements, or was it foul play? No evidence, no closure. Each dead end reopens old wounds. The mystery endures, swirling like snow in the New Hampshire wind. After all these years, only questions remain. Maura's story has no ending, just a void. For her family, it's a daily ache, not a puzzle. They've become public figures, their grief on display. The case changed true crime forever, showing the power and pitfalls of online investigation. Maura's absence is a presence, a reminder of how easily someone can vanish. We're left on that dark road with silence as the loudest part of the story. The fear of vanishing without a trace haunts us all. For now, all we have are questions.